that are better at guitar will make more money, and the people that are not good at guitar won't make any money. And then everybody's going to complain about how there's rich people and there's poor people. But it's because we put a value to guitar. All of those people that aren't good at guitar, they could go play violin. They won't make as much money, but they might be able to rise to the top of that hierarchy. But even if they get to the top of it and they're the best violin player, they're not going to make as much money as the best guitar player, because society itself has said that there is more value in guitar than violin. Now, this is like a really simple example, but I think you guys understand what I mean. That no matter what, there's going to be inequality because of the way societies just function. Because we value things, there's always going to be inequality, because there's always going to be people that aren't able to do it as good. There's always going to be lesser individuals. So as soon as you make something that requires somebody to be
What'd you say
what?
again, Sean? Hold on.
Oh, the only answer to all the shit he was just saying is repeal the
Who?
19th.
To repeal the 19th?
Yep.
Sean,
Buddy.
yeah, I don't know if you can hear him. But he said the only solution to everything you were just talking about was to repeal the 19th.
Repeal what? You need to turn
The
down your
19th,
gate.
19th Amendment.
Repeal the 19th Amendment?
Yep. Take it away.
What is it?
I don't want to say it.
I'll
I
Google
think
it.
it was a women's rights or civil rights amendment.
Women's
The
Civil
right
Rights
of
Amendment?
citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by the state on account of sex.
So
That's
they make
what
it
you need to
only
abolish in
taxpayers
order
vote,
to.
or taxpayers get to vote. Net taxpayers vote.
That actually does kind of make some. I get
What do
you're
you
trying
mean?
to say.
So, like, if we deny certain individuals the right to vote, that'll help.
What do you mean by that?
Take
Yeah.
women's rights away to vote. Goddamn it, fix everything.
What the fuck?
It used to be that landowners,
We're the only ones that could vote.
yeah,
yeah.
people that
So
actually
you're saying the
had a
only
say.
way to fight inequality due to hierarchy is by accentuating the hierarchies to make the curve steeper.
Yep.
To say that only people with property have power and people without property do not have power. Because the last time that happened was in Nazi Germany, and the people without power found power in different ways, because you can't actually disenfranchise an individual in a world with so many different variables. They'll find a different way to gain power, and that'll upset the whole thing, because they'll be playing by a different rule. And that's why we do stuff like the 19th Amendment. And because if everybody has equal opportunity, then we have justification for the inequality. Because it's like, you guys had a chance, you just fucked up. But maybe you are right in saying that, like, people
I do want to
at the
bring up,
bottom should
and
vote.
I'm not
I
saying
understand what you're saying.
well, I'm not completely agreeing with Sean here, but I will bring up the historical fact that Sparta was doing okay and actually sort of conquered a good part of Rome until they let women into the democracy. And they
No.
fell apart.
No, no,
You guys just can't accept
not
the
what
fact that
happened.
you guys, honestly, you guys cannot accept the fact that we're entering a matriarchal point of civilization.
There were
You
so
guys
many other
better
factors
accept that, like, this is about to
Sparta
become a matriarchy.
was matriarchal. The reason why Sparta fell was because they had such strict laws of who could be a citizen. So it came to the point where there were more slaves in their city state than there were citizens, and their government had no way to make their slaves into citizens, and it just fell apart because they lost their Spartan population, and the only people they had were slaves. And so it was their population was unsustainable based off of their citizenship requirements.
Man, females not voting. I think that, like, I think it was a bad decision to make females vote, because like what males have been doing this entire time has been playing these games trying to figure out the best way, and it's actually really like it's mostly bullshit, very annoying, like the amount of progress that we're making, and we were just trying to protect the females from that. We were trying to tell them that actually the way to a happy life was by just like fostering love and a family and like just living and enjoying, and we're gonna do all the bullshit. We're gonna get our fucking fingers dirty, and you don't have to. Like, and by fingers dirty, I mean like even political discourse and disagreements. Like, they didn't need to be involved in that because like we were always just doing it for them to begin with. We were thinking about our wife and children while we were making all the laws. So their voice was always there. But I don't know. I think you need a society in which people can fail, and people in the modern era right now just need to realize that they are failing because of their own self, not because of
The
a
problem is
tyrannical system.
there shouldn't even be voting. Like, if you want to live in a completely free society, you wouldn't have to fucking vote.
I don't know. The I
Like,
lean
there's
toward
obviously things that like you shouldn't do, like fucking non-aggression pact, ethos stuff, morality. You don't fucking harm somebody's person or property. But the fact that like there's votes on fucking if
Oh,
this
yeah.
should be legal or yeah, all that bullshit. It's fucking dumb. I was gonna say I could fuck
take away the
tell.
19th Amendment. I'm still laughing at that. It's like,
he,
because it's like pretty close.
he
Pretty
left,
close
and
to
I don't
perfect,
really.
right?
He's misogynistic, I would say.
Well, he is, or I don't think he is. I
Sure
don't think
appeared he was.
it sure appeared he was. See, as I said, like I think that we were trying to protect women when we said that they could not vote. Like, please do not start playing our game because it's already so confusing. And if we have more people talking, then it's just going to become more. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, but I think the reason that men wanted to keep women out of politics is because we know that women are both better at playing games and talking.
Yes, yeah, that too. We saw the
Because they
manipulation of the
We
because
knew
they
we would
both
get
do.
outmaneuvered.
I tell you guys a real story of Nazi Germany, but TJ is streaming.
What?
Yeah, TJ, we gotta like. Oh man, I guess we're in the lounge, aren't we? We're not in streaming. We gotta be in streaming so I know what to talk about. Chatting away. We literally were just like trying to justify women not voting.
I wasn't.
True. Well, I don't know. I'm not taking a misogynist approach on it. I'm taking like a household approach. And like wearing the pants wasn't. Do you think men really? Do you think wearing the pants was for fun? I don't think wearing pants was for fun. I don't think men put on jeans because it was fun. I think men put on jeans so that their legs didn't get shredded by the work they were doing.
Yeah.
And that's what females never realized with their dresses, that they were free. And
Well,
men
yeah, but now they want to work,
have
so they
always
feel like
been
they have the right
inserted.
to wear pants, which they do.
Yeah, but like why that's like saying like give me the right. I guess I would. Maybe I would. I would ask for the right to suffer. If I knew that I was not allowed to suffer, then I would ask for the right to suffer. I don't know why I would, but I would. Maybe it's because like internally we're always trying to find the boundary of ourselves and then push past it. That's why so many people are like so gung ho about finding enlightenment or finding God. They just want to be, they want to find that wall and then escape it. I think it was Buddha that said like you, um, it was repeated by Sadhguru, which is pretty much like the modern day equivalent of India spiritualist. He said, if I put you in a box and the box is 10 foot by 10 foot, you will be content for a day and then you will touch the wall and you will not be happy anymore. and I'll take you out of that box and I'll put you in a box that's 100 foot by 100 foot, and you'll be content for a week. As soon as you find the wall, you're not going to be happy. So I'll take you out of that and I'll put you in a box of 1,000 feet by 1,000 feet. And you'll be content for 2 weeks, but as soon as you find the wall, it will not be enough again. And like no matter what, human beings want expansion. They want expansion of the soul and their own like physical manifestation on the world. That's why people dream of building empires and being king. Not necessarily so they can control or manipulate, but because to be king means they have free realm to move and act as they please, to not have boundaries. But we know that societies without boundaries are always doomed to fall towards their greatest weakness, be it like religious dogma or just violence based on greed. And that's why we have laws. Is because like there's no such thing as the noble ape. Like without society, human beings are actually like terribly, terribly violent. And like that used to be a psychological thing, the noble ape. That was an idea that if you were to take a human being and put him in the forest, he would be a moral and wholesome person without want or desire for anything. But that's just like a figment of an imagination that would never even exist in reality because actually human beings are not like that. Human beings are greedy. I have come to the belief system that we are born evil and we learn good. We are taught to be good through discipline and through an understanding that if we are good, there will be less boundaries around us.
Well, yeah, if you're
That the only
raised
way
by
to trans
if you're raised by like Mongol raiders and stuff, then you're gonna grow up to be a Mongol raider because you're gonna grow up seeing their justification for doing it and their
yeah,
religious beliefs, and that's gonna be ingrained in you deeply. Whereas as an outsider, we don't completely understand the justifications for things like jihad and whatever. So we look at it completely differently than we should. Not to mention the filter of like the media has over the public.
is there a filter that the media has over the public, or is there a filter that the public has over the media?
I mean, what
But
do you mean?
I say that because the Wall Street Journal just apologized to PewDiePie. Like that's
For calling him a Nazi?
yeah, like a year ago. That doesn't
Good.
seem like a lot, but it's because the public has a filter over the
Well,
media.
when we see them in a legitimate fuck up, we call them out. And yeah, but there's things that we can't legitimately call them out on their fucks up, or people aren't paying attention to to individual media, people that actually go there and freaking post up their YouTube videos about what's actually going on in like France and Israel and all this other shit.
I, I think that I think the Wall Street Journal is actually the parrot of the public, and the public isn't the parrot of the Wall Street Journal because like everybody got worried about oppression and everybody got worried about tyranny, and so the Wall Street Journal said like, hey, let's attack oppression and tyranny in something. So they're like, oh, PewDiePie, he's a pretty big deal for little kids and everything. Let's say he's oppressive and show things about him that are oppressive, even though he wasn't.
They only had a couple small freaking instances.
To
One where
to
he
put
was
it
playing a VR game and some dude happened to have like a Jewish name in the game, and PewDiePie was like, I didn't even fucking like see that guy there.
to
Yeah,
put it vaguely as possible, and stream friendly as possible, is that
I have an adult.
the media
I got a
is an echo chamber. What?
I've got a mature content warning on my channel. Like,
No, there's some things you just can't say.
okay, true. So you gotta have a little bit of a filter on
It's
yourself nowadays, or this
it's
is gonna
a
get brought
echo.
up years from now. Like they're supporting all this bullshit. Like no,
It's an echo
gotta-
chamber. The media, they want to reinforce their narrative that's been established for a while. So if, like, the American taxpayers knew what our money was going to for this is just dumb fucking shit. There'd be a revolution. There'd be fucking blood in the streets. Basically, lots of places in New York, people would just be probably hung from the lampposts.
yeah. You go to your city hall, you ask them basic questions, and you see how shook and how unconfident they are about doing their job, and you will
Yeah,
go home and be sick to your stomach for 2 days straight. And
and
that's just
and
like a microscopic scale of like what's going
and
on in
those people are
our
reinforcing the bullshit the media puts out, and then just the average person that like goes to work, might go to the bar, watch some TV, just living their fucking life, like the pursuit of happiness. Like they
Mhm.
don't fucking realize what that money on the sales tax is going to go to, who, what certain countries in the Middle East it's going to fund for what reasons.
Yeah. And should they have to worry about that? Maybe that's what you're saying about like there shouldn't even be a vote because like maybe we should. I've always kind of been supportive of a monarchy because not because it's every system's going to go corrupt. Every
Yeah.
single system is going to become corrupt. Like it's all just a bunch of ideologies. And at
With
least
them,
with the monarchy, like a child is born and raised in an environment that will show him how to run a country. You know what I mean? The child of a king will become a better king than the child of a blacksmith because the child of a king has watched the king his entire life.
and then if shit gets fucked, then it's centralized all the blame onto one single person. There's no, oh, well,
Yeah.
the Congress didn't do this because the Democrats were in it, or the Republicans in the Senate didn't do this, or the political party of the president, so they weren't able to reach a conclusion.
Yeah, we,
With
we're
like a
not
monarchy, you fuck
bogged
up,
down.
it's like everyone knows who fucked up,
Hmm. We're not
and then
bogged down by internal conflict.
yeah, and then it's like one singular person or family, and you can pinpoint the blame. And
And then we can like we can see a mistake, rectify a mistake, and then move on. We can notice the mistakes as they happen, and then not repeat them. Not debate if it's going to be a mistake or not.
yeah, with our current system, if we wanted to rebel against it, there's three different entities, possibly more, organizations of the government with hundreds of thousands of employees each. So it's like it's such a deep fucking web.
And it only gets stickier.
Giggity. Oh. So women got the
444.
right to vote before slaves did, before black people did.
No,
This happened in 1920, didn't
Well,
civil
suffrage
rights?
was when
your
women got
your
the right to
average
vote.
your average white male didn't even have the right to vote.
Yeah, yeah, I know that,
because
but
they
like
didn't own land.
I think suffrage happened after they got no suffrage happened before the civil rights movement.
So there
Civil
was
rights
the
movement
end of
happened in the
slavery
40s.
happened in the 60s, but
Yeah,
a lot of the shit that happened then, it was a cultural thing, not a legal thing. Like like these people, it was it ended Jim Crow laws. But the
yeah,
Jim Crow laws weren't necessarily real,
they were pretty real.
not legally.
Culturally like real, like the way people were acting were real, and Jim Crow laws were just perpetuating that culture.
Like
There were separate
it's
drinking
worse
fountains.
today with having like non-violent drug offenders having their right to vote stripped away.
Yeah.
Like it's still the same. That was actually a product of Jim Crow.
Have you heard anything about your suspended imposition?
No.
You should take him to court.
Thinking about writing him a letter.
You should sue him.
Sue who?
Steal.
Judges are immune. They can make any decision.
Then appeal to a different court.
It's
Appeal
already
for a
done.
transfer.
I I don't have the right to appeal because I took a plea bargain.
Fucking state. And that's how they do it. That's what we're talking about here, folks.
Well, there was my right to appeal was severely limited to a span of 30 days, and good luck fucking
Yeah,
appealing
getting
your
it
case
through.
when you're already in prison.
Yeah. Bureaucrats, dude. Bureaucratic is what destroys civilization. Bureaucratic bullshit, dude. The middleman. And then there's another middleman. We got like 20 middlemans in between each step we do in this goddamn government. And that's what's so wrong with the government. And like that's what the founding fathers were trying to fix with state sovereignty. But then it still turned out that even the elected officials of a state are so fucking dumb and slow that they're not going to do their goddamn job. Because in order to be a politician, you just have to be a talking head. You don't even need to have ideas nowadays. You don't have to be a hero. You talked before, Connor, about how nobody should be a teacher until they've actually done it, like been in the field, which makes a lot of sense. You shouldn't teach English until you've published a book. Like that makes a whole buttload of sense. You shouldn't teach math until you figured out an equation or added to the math community. You will be a better teacher that way. But you shouldn't be a politician unless you've actually enacted the social change within yourself and your family and your community. You can do these things from door to door. There's like culturally, we have put up such big walls and com- compartments around our own home. Like the walls of a house are much thicker than they've ever been, metaphorically and quite literally, where our neighbors are really no longer our neighbors. We're closer to people that are further away from us than the people that literally sleep in a bed like 20 feet away from you. And that's what we need to fix. If we fix that, everything else will fall into place because we've just we've lost value in community. And I don't know how to fix that because the community is too big now. It's a worldly community and
I've so
we
many of
need
us
to
and so many
segregate
opinions.
more. What?
There's so many of us and so many freaking opinions, and everybody's so strong in their opinions that it drives everybody into different groups and different cliques and
Yeah,
divides us
like
up.
okay, yeah, Watertown, South Dakota adopts the opinions of people in San Francisco. And it's like those people don't know what life is like here at all. I am a strong advocate that weed should never ever be legalized in South Dakota. South Dakota will collapse as soon as weed is legalized. We'll become the shittiest goddamn state in the we will become more than the shittiest state in the country. We already are, in my opinion. We're at the bottom of the barrel. Us in North Dakota. North Dakota is not too bad though. But South Dakota is the way it is because we've adopted almost like a feudalism system where it's a bunch of nobles and then a bunch of peasants. And the nobles are just a bunch of fucking farmers that are selling their land or like taking money from the rest of the country by letting people hunt on their land. Man, TJ, I wish you lived over here so you could spend some time with Eric and realize how fucking intelligent Eric actually is. It's amazing. That's the reason he like every single one of his sheep and goats have like 4 babies at a time instead of like the typical 2. His goats and sheep have so many babies that he has to bottle feed most of them because the mothers don't produce enough milk to feed all of the animals that he raises.
Jesus.
He is yeah, he's max level shepherd. I think it was 2 years ago he had a flock of 30 and now he has like a flock of like 250. It's like exponential growth. And like it's just ridiculous. Like one of his sheep I think had like 7 babies and they all survived. It's amazing. And like the math he does to it and like the ratio of food and oh man, it's ridiculous. But he's a very angry about the beef industry and about farming. But our family had known that there was no money in growing crops since like 1940. because the people who control the beef and the corn industry, and like there's a little bit of money in beans, but like not a lot. Not a lot at all. We export all of our beef and we import all of our beef at the same time. Does that I know that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense because it just straight up doesn't make any fucking sense. All of our beef leaves America, and all of the beef in Hy-Vee comes from out of country, and they market it like it's in the U.S. And they cut the portions in half and raise the price by 10% every year. You used to be able to buy like a pound. You buy a pound of beef for $10, and then next year you buy a half a pound of beef for $6, and nobody notices. It's not that much. It's like you buy a half pound of beef for like $5.15, but that adds up, and that's not going into America's pocket. And the sense of community I'm talking about, that goes all the way over to franchises like Applebee's, where we spend most of our money as consumers when we go out to eat at Applebee's, Minerva's, and Buffalo Wild Wings, or any of the fast food joints. And then pretty much all of that money gets cycled into Indianapolis. I've noticed that like Marco's, their headquarters is in Indianapolis. Burger King has a headquarters in Indianapolis and also Rapid City. Same with Marco's Pizza as well.
Well,
And
it's just 'cause they're basically just kind of the Midwest regional. There's like the biggest city that.
yeah, because all of that money still cycles back to like the actual corporation headquarters and the people in charge there. But what I'm saying is like when you spend money at any of those businesses, it just leaves. Like it leaves your state.
Yeah.
Like the employees get paid, and I guess that's how it stays in a little bit, but a majority of it goes out.
Well, 'cause
Labor
the
cost
employees
is
don't get
always
paid near
around
enough.
20%. You could say that 20% of the money that you spend to Applebee's stays inside of the city, because the typical equation for all restaurants is 20% labor is fine. 20% labor is actually high, but like 19% is what they go for. You will get yelled at though if your labor's at 20%. Trust me. Have managed an Applebee's, do know from experience. So there's like a lot of issues that can't be fixed by government and have to be fixed culturally. And the only way to fix it culturally is I don't even know.
FSM sniper.
What do? Do you just tax the hell out of franchises? No. Not which I don't know. Do you? What do you think? That actually goes against everything I have believed, but that does sound like a pretty good solution. What would happen if you taxed the hell out of franchises? Like if you open up a restaurant that's like a franchise, part of a franchise, the head of the company that you open a restaurant for has a tax for each store that is opened. That probably already exists. That should exist. Sure hope it does. It should be a state tax, though. It shouldn't be a federal tax. Jesus, look at me. I just want more tax. It's honestly too complex for somebody like me. Like, I love having an opinion, but honestly, I don't have the answer. And I bet you there's only 500 people in this country that have an answer that is viable. I would like to think that their viable answer came from listening to everything I just said and picking out the 2% of it that made sense. You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, okay, all that was dumb, but that wasn't that dumb. And like if all citizens talk moderately, maybe we'll get like a slice of wisdom. Boil it down to what's actually there. Is it fucking 6 o'clock yet? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, just about.
Oh, nice. I only have another 45 minutes. I might go in at like 6:30 instead of 6:45 and just be like, are you guys ready yet? Jesus. And then I gotta go buy an air fryer. I'm not even done Christmas shopping. God damn. Do you guys have your Christmas shopping done?
Not really, no.
I hope you do. Apparently it's 12th. Wait, it's the 21st. My clock is like set to European.
Hear me?
What?
No. Do you have to work tonight?
Oh no, I would have already been there. For an hour. I work Monday through Thursday 5 to 5. And then on Fridays it would be 5 p.m. to 11. Man. Man, oh man.
Gotta go get a haircut. How long is that gonna take?
Either it's going to take 30 minutes or it's going to take 3 hours.
Oh. Well, hopefully it doesn't take super long.
It's fun, dude. You just hanging out with a bunch of girls for like 3 hours. Like it's worth it. That's almost the most worthy part about coloring your hair. Just sitting there and talking to girls as they make you look cute. And then you can say stuff like, "Am I cute enough for you yet?" And they're like, it's like, "Oh, you giggled. You must have done a good job." And bam, it turns into one of those porns where you're in the back with your head in the dryer while you get blowjob. I fucking wish. Oh my god, dude. Dude, those head dryers are literally like orgasmic on themselves. Like when that dome goes over your head and just warmth floods your brain. Wow. If I can get a blowjob at the same time. Right now I'm just justifying the mature content filter you've put onto your Twitch stream.
Yeah, it did
Thought it was
kind of
pretty
go from.
PG. It's been pretty PG up to this point. Might as well talk about hair salon blowjobs.
Yeah, it went
Not
zero
those
comma real quick.
barbershop blowjobs. That's a different story. That's for my that's for my bros in Minneapolis. Those barbershop blowjobs. When the old man says he's been doing it since 1940 as he pops out his dentures, that's how you know you're gonna get a good haircut.
Everyone look at this picture I just uploaded.
What the fuck? The old razzle dazzle. Give them the old razzle dazzle. Razzle dazzle them. What the fuck?
I have no idea. Also that Steam link I bought please make fun of me.
Neptunia?
Yeah.
Just enough to decide who your perfect waifu is.
Did it actually say that in the description?
Yeah, the Nephi Your Life bundle includes all 9 Neptunian titles, just enough to decide who your perfect waifu is.
I didn't even read the description.
What the fuck?
No,
This
okay,
game-
all right, it's okay, Connor. When PewDiePie did when he gameplay for that hentai title, I immediately recognized Notaku, and then he was like booty calls, and I was like, oh, I play that game.
Oh, I haven't gone
It was
that
pretty
far
fun.
yet.
It was pretty fun. Go that far. It's actually pretty fun.
This game is about there's like a bunch of different nations that are representations of consoles.
Interesting.
So, yeah, and they like had there's a console war, and then they all got over it, and now they're allies or some shit. I don't know. I haven't played them yet. That's just all I know. And like all the characters are representation of the hardware within the consoles, and the nations are allusions to like PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Wii, Nintendo, Sega, and then like their royalty is like the processors, named after like the processors of those things.
My God. Why
But
does
they're
Steam always want to verify my birthday? Like when I'm logged in?
I don't know. It's been like that
It's
for
so dumb.
fucking
And the thing is I
15
just like
years.
I just click on the year and then I scroll up and like click something and like what I just clicked was like 1905. And it's
Yeah,
like it's been the same person like signed in every like time, but it's always a different birthday. Like I'm always born January 1st of some fucking random year like 40 years ago.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's like come on, get a fucking clue, Steam.
you know
Like
you only
that's
have to click to 2000 now.
true. Well, it's not like you have to I just scroll. I just flick my mouse wheel and that's good enough to take me back in time to the Belmont City where you know where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home?
To the place I belong.
Oh, switch up remix.
West Virginia.
Large IQ individuals, and I've been watching his dot, waiting for it to turn green so I can message him. Hey man,
Just tag them.
who
Just tag
is?
them.
I
Oh,
beat you to it. I said hello. Just pull some
Oh,
random
it's not
guy
large.
into the
It's large IQ individual, not high IQ individual.
not high IQ, not large individual.
I just want to know who that memester is in his picture. Because he was like a legend, dude. He did like live action memes. He would take pictures of himself kneeling on the ground with that mask and like a gun pointed to your head, pointed to his head, and he'd be like, you guys have 30 minutes to da 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 da, or else he gets shot. And it's like oh, it was always something stupid like post memes about a certain thing or something. But it was like good. It was funny. It was like he was involved in his community. It was fun. Do you remember those, Connor? I had a good time on that page. It was video game. Something about video games. Oh, I'm so close to remembering it.
Trying to drag extra support out of Dad for the stream because he wants to send money and stuff like that. Instead of sending my checking info, I just sent my Twitch link and was trying to direct him to the donate button, but for some reason you couldn't find it. And so I sent a picture of the page with the donate button, and he still doesn't seem. This is what I get when it opens the link. Something went wrong. Try again. Who just tried? Was that an attempted message from Dad or something and it failed? Oh wait, no, now he sent it. Welcome to the chat room. Just chatting because he's. Oh, because you're on phone. Huh. Huh. Oh well.
There was something video games. It was man, it's gonna bother me for the rest of my life. I hope he has the answer. I hope large IQ individual is just like, oh, I stole it from God. Because like I know who has that. I know who that is. I've seen that guy's face. He was a fantastic moderator. It was all about video games. I posted on it. It had an awesome community. Like it had a really good community. You could ask a question, and if it wasn't a dumb question, they'd give you a good answer. And if you asked a dumb question, they would flame the shit out of you. And it was just good. Like it was a healthy amount of moderation too. People were allowed to flame, but they weren't allowed to bully. Like it was It was like when somebody took it too far, it was immediately noted, and like the rest of the community would be like, "Oh wow, this guy's losing his shit." And the mods themselves would post memes onto the group too that were good, but like the whole community was good. Fond memories. It was like literally the best part about Facebook was that one group. It got me through jail. It was when I was in jail, I would always go to that page when I was on breaks during lunch. Dude, this guy's cool. Large IQ individual. He's cool, man. He deleted Facebook. Anybody who's deleted Facebook at this point, I trust more. It's honestly like, oh, cool. You figured it out. Oh, man. All of us were like smoking a bunch of weed and dropping mushrooms way back when, talking about how the government was brainwashing us using media as we logged on to Facebook. It's like, yo, where is the line? Like, what is actually going on? Dumb high school kids. Connor, you will feel liberated when you can't delete Facebook though. You could delete your
Yeah, not
Facebook, but
yet.
keep Floteeks. Yeah, keep Floteeks. And the
Well, I
thing
need
is,
mine to access it.
yeah, there you go.
Oh, they're
And
linked.
the thing is, with what I've been trying to do and stuff, I realize that I'm going to actually have to recreate a Facebook because I need to reintegrate into social media to be found.
Ah, shit. Like, this is not the answer we were looking for.
This is not. These are not the droids you were looking for.
Yeah, we were all watching this conversation. He probably thinks it's just me and him. uh,
What the hell are they doing? I mean, I think they were supposed to be throwing a party next door or something, but I'm like watching my security camera. They got like the truck in the alley, and then somebody just happened to pass to the side. But I think it's like the driver just got out, went around front of the truck and up to the house. Like, I don't know what's going on out there right now.
how old are we? 25?
Old
Are you
enough?
26?
I'm 28.
Connor, you've been high for the last like 5 years. 7 years, I mean, sorry.
I'm 25.
7.
Oh,
A year after the first joint you smoked was when I think you started to smoke. For real.
it sounds about right.
Because you went to college, and I'm pretty sure there was activity in college. In Northern.
Pretty much started when I was 19.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I started when I was 17. I literally have a doctorate in being high. My parents were not proud of me when I got my masterate, but my parents are proud of me now. Please, Twitch, show me this advertisement of this. What is this? A PlayStation 1 game? What game is this?
Good night
Oh my
from
god, don't
Germany.
really tell me
Sniper.
that this is actually a commercial for GTA, Grand Theft Auto Online Arena War? What is that?
I think it's like it's
Oh,
battle royale.
Yeah, it's their new DLC, but why was it so low quality? Oh, dude, I like your background, TJ.
huh?
Nice. Are those your animations?
No. It's
Oh,
Cloud.
is that?
It's called Plane 9. It's a free application. It's basically a screensaver, and I just have it manually. I'm using the windowed version, full screen, so that I just basically have essentially a podcast background, and the ones that I've chosen go to your voice. So it'll be black when you're not talking and stuff. But if you start talking,
Yeah.
yeah, then
I
you'll start
I
seeing each
saw that
lighter.
that it was actually hooked up to it's an EQ on my voice.
Yes, on
Can you
anything
set
that
up
goes
like
through the computer.
can you set up multiple EQs for people's different voices?
Negative.
Oh my god, though. Figure it out. You can, dude.
No, because it all
And they
just
did it for
bases off the audio. It bases off either the audio that comes through my computer or the
Yeah,
audio
but
that
you
comes
could
through
base
my mic.
You can base certain tracks in. You can separate the tracks. I know you can. You
There's
just have
nothing
to
to
put.
separate on them. It's
You have
all
to
just on
try.
one
You have to
waveform.
just figure out a way to put. I mean, like it would have to cooperate with Discord. You would have to actually create a software probably right now.
Yeah, and
But
I'm
in a
not good
few
at
years,
programming.
I like what's going on though, dude. Hell yeah.
He
That's
would have to have our microphones linked to his stream, not through.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
We would
mean,
all
if
have to
we were
be
doing
there.
an in the room thing, then maybe I could do something like that. But as far as this program goes, it's not necessarily meant for that. It can only pull like its audio sources
Are
from
you
the
in an
computer.
IRL right now?
Yeah,
Nice.
chatting essentially.
Just chatting
This is
away.
this is our first attempt at a podcast because I know you can go off on some philosophical like tangents that some people would maybe definitely want to hear. I mean, they're interesting.
You know, I was recording videos of me talking to myself, and I found that it was utterly unentertaining, except for then parts. Like I literally
Well, it's 'cause you're
re-listened to like the last 15 minutes of what I said one day, which is maybe a good thing to do, is to re-listen to yourself talking for 15 minutes. And there were parts that I was like actually entranced, and I was listening to myself, and that was cool. But like, I don't know, maybe I have something. The thing I was gonna edit too that I had shot and recorded was a question for someday, and then like that would be a good series because I do someday because I don't want to do a question a day, and I don't even want to be consistent with when I do those videos because I don't know how often I'm going to be able to do them. I'd like to do them weekly, but
yeah.
just asking a really big question that is not answerable, and kind of pick apart everything I've actually learned about those questions, because like I have learned what to
Example
think
questions.
about the meaning of life, and like not how to answer necessarily the meaning of life, but all of the thought trains and all of the ideologies and how they think about the question itself of the meaning of life. And you could it really just goes into gurus saying, oh, you cannot ask the meaning of life because that is the outside, for the question on the inside you must ask, what is the meaning of your life? But then I could just go into why that's wrong in itself as well, and like what people are actually trying to ask. I think you are right. There is content in that. However, I really don't know how to format it
Well, it's
without
like one
me.
thing when you're having a conversation, and another if you're just talking to yourself or like trying to project the audience through the camera. If you're just talking to yourself, that's like a maniacal guy just trying to work things out in his head. But like you're just talking to
Maniacal is a pretty heavy statement, but I know what you mean. Um, it's really hard to have an opinion and not be viewed as being self-centered. There's really no difference though between having an opinion and being self-centered. That's the same thing.
your
That's
stuff is
why
you
people
kind of essentially
people
cite
called
sources and where you're getting this, where you're formulating this opinion from. You're kind of being able to talk through who said this or what facts essentially surrounding how you got to it, so that whoever listens to the whole thing is able to, if they join in halfway through, they might be a little bit confused at times, I guess. But if they listen to the
yeah,
whole thing, it would all make like perfect sense, and they would actually understand why you maybe have that particular opinion or think that particular thing.
to move away from facts, one thing I've noticed and I've been really fascinated in and always wanted to try to do is like say words, and I call them magic words. And Jesus was attributed with having magic words, and Marduk was attributed with having magic words, and God was attributed with creating the entire world using his words. And those words happen when somebody says something to you, be it even on a TV show or in a song or in person, and they say something to you and you resonate. You get that feeling of meaning and that sensation of like chills down your spine and like a heightened sense of awareness, as if words caused like some sort of adrenaline reaction within your body. And that'll happen. And then somebody, when I say it and I manage to pull it off, and they'll look at me and they say, like, wow, like you look at things really cool. And then what I say back is like, no, the reason you feel that way is because you already knew that information. I'm not telling you anything new. It's just like such a fundamental truth That's why it resonates with all human beings, and that's fun to draw up to the surface because it kind of like helps solidify it in, because sometimes we don't practice those truths throughout our life. And so it's like you can't really just base a lot of things off of fact. And I could ramble on about like what Freud thought about it, or what Nietzsche thought about it, or like what Tolstoy, what he thought about it. And like they
You're
all
able
have
to
various different
summarize the right
opinions.
amount.
Yeah, but really, like the greatest thinkers of the world came to their own conclusions. Like that's the whole reason that Buddha was Buddha. He didn't go and talk to people and figure out the facts. What he did was he sat there under a tree for like a month straight. And the Sadhguru, the New Age guru. That's weird that his name has guru as the suffix of it, but what happened to him was he was in school, and then the teacher was told him to pay attention, and then he closed his eyes, and then when he reopened his eyes, it was 19 days later, and there was people at his side asking to cure their children because they revered him as a savior just because he had sat there for 19 days. And he kind of brushes it off like that too, where like because he was the reason he was staring at everything, he couldn't pay attention in school because he knew he could not understand anything, because like there had never been an answer to what anything consisted of. Like not even science, nothing could tell us what things are made of. They can say atoms, but they can't, there's no way to know for sure what physical reality actually is, like down to the core basis. And because he couldn't understand it at that level, he never allowed himself to understand it in any context whatsoever. And then his teacher asked him, like, what are you? Or like, what do you think you are? Or who do you think you are? And then all of a sudden he realized that if he couldn't understand anything, he couldn't understand himself. And then he tried to think about that, and it took him 19 days. And when he came when he came out of his space, his like fasting, everybody was worshiping like he was a
His
prophet.
mind was blown to the point where he went into a coma.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the way he describes it. And he says that he found some sort of inner peace, but it really is just telling people to go leave him alone. Like if he tells people, then they won't bother him so much about how he sat there for 19 days, because like they don't need the
Physically
answer to that.
possible for one.
I don't know. The ramblings, it's hard to understand the accent. That's all I can tell you.
It's hard to understand the accent.
He's got really bad English. Horrible English. He's a very funny guy though. He's actually really funny. I really don't like guru or self-help people. The only person that I would say you could classify under self-help would be Jordan Peterson, but he's not. Like the 12 Rules for Life is not a self-help book. It is not whatsoever. Like God, you
Hey,
guys should
Dr.
read that
Phil.
book. It's amazing. It's not even a Dr. Phil. It's nothing like that. It's a very scientific, like psychological, not philosophical approach to like actually how to govern one's own life, and like what's going on while you're doing that. Not how to do it, but what is actually occurring while things are taking place. And he has like countless years of psychiatric being a professional psychiatrist to back up what he's found. And like the book includes stories about like some of his patients and what was going on in their life, and like the dreams that they were having, and how those were like symbolic representations. And he really, his main claim to fame is his work about archetypes and the way ancient civilizations actually viewed religion, where it was metaphoric truth. It was never objective truth because they never even had any scientific theory to objectify the world with. They never viewed the world as a bunch of objects. That's when Isaac Newton came around, that they started to really understand what objects were doing, and made like listen to Plato. Plato really isn't talking about physical objects, not in the sense that we do. Like we see a piece of wood and then we think of cells, and we think of mitochondria in the cells. And we think of all of that. We objectify every single thing down to the core that we possibly can with our feeble grasp of science. However, back then they weren't even trying at all because they didn't even start yet. So they were able to comprehend how the way of life and how more than what. They were make more concerned with why than they were with what. I think that's the best way to put it. And that's cool because then we got all of these religious stories that make a whole hell of a lot of sense no matter what era you live in. Because like universally, human beings have always been the same. I don't think we've gotten much smarter than we were in like the 1300s.
Asking the right question, and I mean, you might be onto that whole question for the future idea that you had, where it's like, just think of a really complicated question that we just don't have the answer to right now, and if they ever solve any of those questions, then we would have a second video on reviewing the question and then how they solved it.
All right, guys, it turns out we actually found out the meaning of life. Let's see.
Gotcha.
Turns out that everything's actually Play-Doh and you are actually insane. You need to wake up from your deep sleep, kitten, because it's time to take your medication.
Just a video game, and you're gonna wake up next to Rick any second.
That was a good episode. And he wakes up and he's Rick's like, "Why the fuck did you go back to the goddamn factory job?" I like really that really resonated with me that episode. It's just like you could have lived a good life, but you fucking just sat around crying and you mortgaged off your home. Oh man. Hey Connor, I think you'll like Rick and Morty now if you watch the fourth season because it pretty much they
When did it come
justify
out?
what like the whole thing seemed nihilistic, but that's because nobody like took into consideration the fact that like Rick was extremely depressed and drunk. And what like the whole show was pointing at was like through if you pay attention, you will realize that the world is suffering. Like that's the base state is that we all die. And like we can be heroes and overcome and reduce suffering, which I think is the purpose of the whole world. But you can fall into the trap of nihilism and of saying like, well, we're all going to die anyway, so it's meaningless. Where you take like, oh, human beings have just lived for a fraction of the time that the universe exists. And it's like, okay, if you just chop down existence into irrelevance, then like you're not doing anything any good because that's just a cheap trick of like nihilism. It's a cheap trick. And like what we do does have very, very significant meaning to the people around us and ourselves. We can feel that every single day, every single action we make, every mistake we make that makes us feel bad, or the good things that we do that like lift us up. So that's the counter to irrelevance of a short lifespan of a human being. But Tolstoy was he had fallen into that where he said that if he looked into religion, he saw an utter disregard for rationality, and if he looked into rationality, he found an utter disregard for everything. So he had said that he refused. He had all of his guns removed from his house, and he would never walk with a rope in hand with fear that he would hang himself. And like that's eventually like that's what happened to him in his search for meaning or what is meaning. And he just completely disregarded the fact that human beings constantly make the world a different and like a like subjectively better place. But it's yeah, so that is what Rick and Morty was trying to explain was the story of Tolstoy, where Rick had ascended to such a level of intelligence that he accidentally thought that nothing mattered anymore and that there was no meaning within his own life, and that's why he became depressed and started to drink all the time. And the fourth season is like an utter denial of like hedonism and nihilism, where they just doubled down on their insults towards hedonism and nihilism. And like it
I think
explains
you mean
everything.
the third season, right?
No, I think it's the fourth season that just came out, isn't it? If not, I mean the newest season. The newest season really doubles down on their stance against hedonism and nihilism and explains further that the whole series Rick was never happy. Like he's not a godson. And I know you did not like it because you said like people like you were disenfranchised and made fun of. But I think that Rick is what can happen to people like you if you lose your way. You know what I mean? Intelligent people will fall into hedonism unless they find purpose within themselves. And that's why you didn't like it, because it was like, no, actually, I'm a type of person that I can find a way to make this world a better place, and there is meaning. You had meaning, so you could see somebody as Rick as a complete fucking douchebag and hate people that envied him so much, because a lot of the modern culture of hedonism that we see made Rick a hero when Rick is actually a failure, constantly
Selfishly
abandoning his
using his own
family.
intelligence instead of bettering everything
Yeah.
around him. He could fix literally every problem that even exists. He could be Doctor Who in a way.
Well,
But
like the
instead,
thing
he's
is,
just
he
selfish
doesn't
about
need to
all of it.
do that because there's like a universe out there that Rick did that. But what he needed to do was be that Rick. Like he didn't have to think about how many different Ricks there were in the world. He had to remember that there was only one Rick that had those one grandchildren, and he could have like loved his family and found happiness like a conventional way.
There that did that. There's infinite universes, so you got to think there's an entire in the whole spectrum of Ricks, like that one episode pointed out. He's just kind of like in the middle. He's sort of a special Rick,
Yeah.
but it's just the Rick that the series chose to follow. It could have been like Rick could be Peter from Family Guy in a way because there was different forms of him as well.
Yeah, I feel you. And I don't think the series explained well, like they were pushing that he is the most Rick. So that's a thing. They said a lot that he was the most Rick. He was the most Rick
Right in the
version
center,
of Rick.
he's not too in either direction, left wing or right wing.
Yeah, he was like
Totally a libertarian.
yeah, he was I would no, he was a nihilist.
In the spectrum of
You're
Rick.
not he was not. There was no you cannot put a political line to him because he valued absolutely nothing. Rick values nothing. And if he values nothing, he doesn't have an ideology. His ideology is nothing. Like true nihilism.
I mean, I guess he seems to sort of have a death wish, so maybe he doesn't quite value himself. That was a bit of a.
Yeah, you guys should look up Tolstoy. He wrote this book. Tolstoy wrote this book called The Underground Man. And it's about this guy, and he's a dirtbag. He's a fucking asshole. And he repents for like 100 of his sins, but he's done like 1,000 sins. Like he says sorry partially and not actually for like what he is. And he is out in public and he is scorned by these soldiers. They make fun of him for being such a wretched man. And the way he takes it out is he finds a prostitute and he promises her that if she comes to his apartment, he will tell her the secret and liberate her from her suffering so that she won't actually have to stay a prostitute. Because he just feels self righteous because he's repented for everything. And yeah, it's a good book. She eventually comes over and he just lays into her, calling her an idiot and saying that he was just doing it because he had been scorned and wanted to scorn another. And she eventually like takes her life because of it.
Spawns other bullies.
He's a good author. That's what I'm trying to say. Tolstoy was a good author, and he was a good thinker too. But he was actually wrong, and he was wrong in a way that people could learn from. Because yeah, once you can lose meaning if you think about everything too much. You can think yourself into irrelevance. And that is the product of intellectual. That's the product of rational thought. And that's why intellectuals should be a bad term. Nietzsche has a story about an intellectual where a man walks up and he sees a crowd of people. And in the crowd of people, there's a man that's like a foot tall, but he has an ear that's like 5 times the size of his body. And he's regarding himself as an intellectual. And really what it says is that like people who value rational thought to such a degree are like overinflated in one aspect of their personality and they're not actually a balanced individual. Nietzsche, pretty good guy. Oh, thank God, dude. All that talking, all I was trying to do that entire time was just make it to fucking this time, 6:32.
Oh, I'm gonna say at that time.
That's it. I was just trying to pass 30 minutes. I hope that 30 minutes went
Well,
slower
whenever
for you guys than it did for me.
whenever you get
Oh
back,
Christ.
me, you, and Connor
Jesus
should
Christ,
have
a
a
whole
me, you, and
conversation.
Connor should have a free for all battle.
Yeah, me, you, and Connor should do a campaign. I'm really stoked about it. Like oh man, that sounds so
I
fun.
was
Can you do 3 people in a campaign though?
not
I
in
think
a
so.
co-op.
Not in a co-op. We could
Nope.
do
It'll
normal, and
all
then we
it'll
can
all be
set up
head to
trades.
head. Yeah, exactly. We can still play it like we're co-op. It's not like
And then one of us, if we get too big, that big guy can just go to war with the other 2 people, and that's fun too. Like the end game is where we got to get competitive. Like
yeah.
hella cooperative at the beginning. We could probably up the difficulty to hard, but we won't be able to gift troops,
I
will
don't
we?
know.
You should look up on the community page if there's actually a mod for
Yeah,
gifting
I was
troops,
gonna
not in
say
co-op.
like a multi-person co-op mod.
I'm pretty sure it'll happen. It should be. I've seen servers. You can have a server with more than 2 people, so
Yeah. Yeah, but it's usually I don't know if you can set teams though. I guess I haven't gone in and checked that. I mean, if you
It
can
would
set
just be
teams,
everyone starts off with trade
I mean,
agreement,
it very well could be
non-aggressive
that we just have to
military.
be in like a military alliance or something, and it would sort of unlock that since you're spectating.
yeah, and the end game victory really is not important like that's not why you play Warhammer 2. Is you don't play to win, you play for like the battles. You play for like the turns, I should say, because like the decisions you make and then you see the payoff within your army. Like that's what's fulfilling, not like winning the entire game. There's fulfillment in that, but that's not honestly that's not my big slice of pie. TJ knows that because I have way more fun starting a campaign than I do playing a campaign.
Yeah.
Way more fun. I love the early stages because the earliest stages affect so much. You can like really scale different, and you can like start and see like, well, what would happen if I fucked with the reptiles right away? What would happen if I fucked with the goddamn rats right away? And you can like just I don't know, makes you think. And like honestly, once you're like 50 turns in, like the game's over. I don't know. You can fuck up big and like get your armies wrecked and really mess up, but you at 50 turns, I already know what the game's gonna look like at 70 turns. That's what it's. Not because I'm smart, but just because at that level you have a pattern, you've established your infrastructure, you've built in a certain direction, and so you're gonna continue that direction. Like you've already established yourself by 50.
We could play Stellaris as multi-person co-op.
Stellaris.
I've heard about it. I'll be back maybe in 40 minutes. I don't even know if I need to get my hair colored, and it's not gonna take that long because I don't need to bleach it, but I kind of do. I don't know. It matters how my roots look. However, baggish. Sorry, I can't say that. Sorry, 2019 Twitch crowd. I'm sorry.
I don't think there's any.
It's
I
just
think
me.
it's only in co-op that you can gift units. I don't think there's.
Talk to you guys soon.
Be safe, bro. Have a good haircut. There. Counter.
Sorry, I
Red
messed
Dark.
that up. What?
Oh, Red Dark's gone. Present. Gone. So what are you up to?
Nothing really.
Boom, boom. So many updates every day from all my games. Holy fuck. I played War of Rights last night. I don't know if I want to play it again. It's fun and all, but what the fuck? Does a shark eat the puppy? I'm assuming like a shark eats the puppy or something.
don't think so.
Well, what's with the never judge a book by its cover thing then?
I'll be right back.
Alright. That's one strong fucking worm. Oh, they won't eat fish. Baby birds won't eat. Well, fucking, that's not. They'll get hungry. Dog just betrayed his owner. Now what else is owner gonna catch any fish?
Like, what the fuck?
I mean, why can't the goddamn fucking bird bring the boat some fish, yo?
Right?
The dog can't be like, yo, that fish, bitch. You know what he's trying to catch, right?
Oh, they did. Threw a fish at his head.
Oh, there you go.
Shouldn't have a fish.
We got all these leftover fish because my fucking kids won't eat them.
Yeah. He's like, what the fuck?
Cute. Cupid too high pitch for your phone. You should have turned it down.
Jeez, yeah.
Oh man. Do I get on World War III?
No shit. Arm wrestling a grown ass man.
Yeah, but she doesn't look weak. Why would they do it on a glass surface? Like, they could break that easily. Okay, so I don't think there's co-op Total War in that particular fashion.
Just take the loss. You just lost your one. He's like, no.
Let me switch this over.
Stewie talking to Lewis. He's like, that nigga you had over last night drank all my Capri Sun.
Wood. I'm gonna just. I'm gonna try not to die. For one. Video. It's not taking forever, is it? Oh, what'd I do? Video. Oh, yes. There we go. Why is there no freaking like? Oh, I probably turned off the music. This? What the hell's going on here? Oh, I never. Wow. Wow. I hit him only so many times.
Be advised, our artillery
What the hell is going on here, though?
Enemy UAV overhead.
I've never seen this map. This looks like. This definitely looks like a map in progress. I'm on the PTU.
Our
Won't let me out this window.
Online over the area. Objective Charlie 2 is under attack.
I mean, like, they could have put like a basic default high-res texture on this, and it would have looked better. It would have looked better, no doubt. Like, I need to freaking. Let's do that. I'm trying to balance out my audio here. Oh, I've got to turn the game individually. Already is turned way the fuck down. And I got sniped right off the fucking
Enemy
spawn.
radars
Oh,
are being
course.
jammed.
What happened to my classes? There is definitely an update I was not aware of. What the fuck? Okay, so all my classes got deleted. Never seen this freaking map. And what the f was that? Prototype. Okay, so this is the Smolensk prototype map. Look what's up. That's why everything's so fucked.
So these watch have a Miyota Japanese sports three-hand watch movement.
Our units are taking hold of objective Alpha 1.
Yeah.
That's great. The diamond is black and the word Nixon is black. So this must be like a blackout edition one.
Blackout Nixon watch.
Right? Dope, but it's like matte black. Cool.
Well.
Solid stainless steel, hardened with mineral crystal, triple gasket, steel crown.
I think that just might be it for me right now. Go back to watching things and learning things, but cannot stream that far.